Hello and welcome to Chicago Arts. This is MartinJon, producer and host. For the past month, I've worked with Xwing on a lantern festival that we presented this past weekend in Millennium Park. This interview consists of an interview with Nick Lowe and Carolyn Hartman. Nick Lowe is a senior member of Xwing and the creative director of the Lantern Festival, and then Carolyn Hartman is the educational director. And she worked with students from Moss Multicultural Arts School in Little Village High School to round out this community-based project.
The part of this that was difficult, I think, was actually breaking out of a particular set of expectations about what theatre is. I never had any worries that anybody in the group, Xwing, were able to achieve the things that they said they were going to, and was always ready for things to fall apart at any minute and to kind of pick it up and reshake it and reorganize it. And actually, for me, what I liked most was the chaotic process. And I know some people didn't like that so much. What I was interested in, and I'm always interested in doing, is taking a performer and or viewer into a space that they don't understand and allowing them just to kind of play with it. And that, in the sense that people are not spectators in any way, and performers aren't solely performers, they're participants. And there's a way in which you never know what's going to happen.
My goal was to allow the students from Little Village High School, Multicultural Arts School at Little Village High School, and their parents and possibly younger siblings to feel empowered enough to come downtown to Millennium Park and perform in some kind of active way with the Lantern Festival. And to have the community in the school perhaps have part of that happen at the school.
When you engage with a performance in the Geary Bandshell or in any theatre, you're relating to it if you're in the middle of the audience somewhere as part of a crowd. That's one kind of collective or group experience. But it's this far away from you, and it's this big. It's tiny. It's in the distance somehow. What's interesting for me about, and this is something I was trying to argue with colleagues at the school, actually, and people, unless you experience it, you don't understand it, I don't think. And it's the notion that actually the performance is here. It's yours. It doesn't exist over there.
Well,
it's not something you're engaging with.
Like
it's right in front
inside.
of you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interior and an exterior experience. Not that cinema and not that kind of high opera, and not that theatre isn't, because it is. It does both things as well. But the place in which the performance really exists is with the individual. And so what that does is then make the spectacle as important as the individual experience. And you get miniature detail as well as you get grand detail. It's like you can engage in these little puppet stages, and then you can turn around and you see the ice wall, you see the beam, and you see those buildings along Michigan Avenue, and all of a sudden you're in a monumental space in relation to this tiny detail. And I like that kind of moving in and out of scale, moving up and down. So it's not the same kind of relationship that you find as a viewer that you end up having with theatre all the time, which is possibly off to the distance somewhere.
Well, Millennium Park is definitely a huge tourist attraction, and could be deemed a site of some type of privilege to be. I mean, it's free. I mean, anybody can go there, but not everybody necessarily does go there. So I think to them it would be a symbol of being part of something a lot larger than their neighborhood. But at the same time, I didn't want them to feel like, you should feel privileged now because we're going to take you downtown to the big Millennium Park that costs, $3 billion or however much it costs, and you're going to get to perform there before they'd actually performed in their own school, because it's the first year they've had a drama program. So they haven't even performed yet on their brand new stage. Major success was outside artists that had not worked with Xwing at all before coming in and kind of taking charge and having great ideas and volunteering to come with me to work at the school. Two in particular were Miranda and Loren. Really asking what they could do and running with it. Like I said to Loren one day over here at the House of Pain when we were doing the workshop, just be fire. Take one of those white suits we're all wearing and make fire. And then Miranda said, oh, if she's going to be fire, I'll be ice. And I was like, yes. And so people like really taking initiative and creating characters and making costumes when they didn't know what the show was going to be or what their part was going to be in it really, and that they weren't necessarily even performers. They were makers or visual artists. And so that's something I think kind of gets lost in the muddle of everything else, that the people that worked from the outside in, I think, had a really great experience that is what community arts and collaborative arts is, you know.
The community that mattered was the community that was around the being. That you don't know where you are, and it turns your world upside down for a moment. That's the whole notion of topsy-turvy. All the conventions that they might have been used to in terms of viewing performance were really put to the test.